welcome to the Irish and Arsenal Gunner podcast. It's Tuesday, the 27th of September. I'm your host, as always, at this stage, Jonathan Giles. I'm joined by my weekly guests, as you should all know, Carl Osborne, Craig
Hello.
Smith, John Melia, and the return of the 2-week absence of Eamonn. Who am I, Donnelly? How are you, lads?
Evening, Jonathan. Can't believe you're doing the show. Clashing with an Ireland match there.
John Giles, you're saying that when you were manager of Ireland, right? When you were training them, they had jumper for goalposts.
Oh, hello. Val Doonigan cardigan there. We used to put it down the corner flag. Good evening, everybody. I'm back.
So many young viewers haven't got a clue what that was all about.
Who's your sexy Bill? As you can see, Eamonn is ecstatic after a 2-week absence. And I suppose before I go on to details of how you can catch the show and all, I'll go through last week's stats. 115 views, well up on our last show of 108. 8 likes, up 2 from 6. And we reached the milestone of 1,000 subscribers. That's up 885 on the week previous, so it stands at 1,040. So well done to all my guests over the last year or so to making that possible, and to Martin Stumble that creates such a great video after we finished recording here as well. All credit to him. And next week it will be the draw for the Gabriel Martinelli signed jersey, so it's definitely something to look forward to. So hopefully we don't lose to Spurs on Saturday, and one lucky listener or viewer will get their hands on that jersey. So that's next week. So it's probably done to be one of us 5, considering the rate of answers that goes into the quiz questions. I go to last week's quiz question before we crack on. Name Arsenal's all-time leading goal scorer. Lads, the answer was?
Very good.
And no one left an answer there again, so no one gets a all fame Dublin Arsenal fan back. We'll go again, though. I'll keep the questions coming. I'd just like to thank Darren O'Connor for his comment. Keep up the good work, lads. So I'd like to thank Darren O'Connor. I think he left a comment as well a couple of shows back as well. So cheers to Darren. And we get a Dublin Arsenal fan pack again to you. This time with Eamonn's tongue in it, I heard.
Yeah.
You can catch all the games in the River Bar, Dublin City Centre. And you can also, as usual, catch the show on the Dublin Arsenal YouTube channel and on our Instagram page for all daily posts from Martin, who sticks all them up. Like a big shout out to our sponsor, clubgolf.co.uk, for sponsoring us, and enter Dublin Arsenal 10 at the checkout for a 10% discount on all their gear. So thanks to them. I'll go to this week's quiz question, and I'll mention it again in our preview. It's relating to the Spurs game for this weekend. Name Arsenal's 2 goal scorers in the 2-2 draw in 2004 at White Hart Lane to seal the Premier League title. So don't go near your phones. You should know that one. And the winner will get a Dublin Arsenal fan back. Please leave your comments on that one, or any of you would like my guests to leave a comment to make sure someone wins it. Please feel free. On this week's show, we'll be reviewing the women's side of things for the first half of the show, the Women's Super League. We'll be reviewing their 4-0 victory at home to Spurs at the weekend with a record attendance of 53,000 fans. So that's great to see. And also a review of the 2-2 draw in last week's first leg of their Champions League. And then it'll be on to the preview of the big one on Saturday at 12:30 against Spurs. I'll start with the review of the Women's Super League, and we'll be doing we're going through all the games that they would have played over the weekend as well, along with the men's, so they get a chance as well to be on the show. Goals by Beth Mead, Vivian Medina, who scored 2, and Raffaella secured the win. Top of the league with 6 points. Ozzy was there. How was the atmosphere, Ozzy, and what was the match like?
Well, I'll start off. It's my first WSL match, so you know, forgive me for any mispronunciations of names or anything like that. But firstly, I went with my youngest girl. She was 9-year-old Georgina. I'm going to give a shout out to her. She made me go to this because of the Lioness's success. So she sort of forced my hand to go to this. And you know what? I just wish I'd been more. It was, the atmosphere was fantastic. It was very family friendly. It was mixed. I don't know if that came across on TV, but it's a mixed crowd. So we had we had Spurs in amongst us, which was quite funny and actually allowed for some really good banter because the stand up for If You Hate Tottenham did ring round a few times, and some of them then shouted stand up if you hate Arsenal straight after. So it was a good family atmosphere, to be honest. But what I did find with it was there's a lot of lot of kids with their parents going to watch it and stuff like that. So the atmosphere is very very good, and it's all good hearted banter. But for me, as soon as that first whistle went, my hatred for Spurs came out, and I've got to be honest, I celebrated that Beth Mead goal as if it was an FA Cup final. Probably over celebrated, so apologies to Richard Keys and anyone else that wants to have a dig at me for that. But I did jump up and down, and I did overreact a bit actually, probably to that first goal. But yeah, it was, as soon as that whistle went, it was Arsenal versus Spurs, and the pit, you know. But talk analysing the match really. That Beth Mead goal was a fantastic goal. You know, she had a first shot, rebound, came back, and that finish was, you know, it was a fantastic finish. And then right from the start, really, that sort of set the tone for the game. Spurs didn't really show up. I was so impressed with our central defenders, Rafael Souza and Leah Williamson. Honestly, they were absolutely solid in that game. It was almost lost watching Saliba and Gabriel. You know, the way they bossed the Spurs side. And really, yeah, the game sort of went on from, there's a couple of good headers. Viv Medina scored sort of a great calm finish, and then also 2 great headers in the game from Souza and Medina. But yeah, it felt like a training match at some points because I think Spurs didn't show up. I'm hoping that happens this Saturday, but yeah, it did feel like you know, it was quite it felt like a trading match, and a bit pre-seasony after we went 2-0 up because Spurs just really didn't have nothing to offer. I think there's a few people are saying looked out for, like players to look out for, were like Neville. I think playing at the left back, she was absolutely torn to pieces throughout that game. Like Kim Little and McCabe were fantastic. I have to give a shout out to McCabe, who was close to the player of the match for me, because really it was between, I was going to say between player of the match for me was Medina or McCabe. And I know as much as you want me to say McCabe, but because Viv got the 2 goals, she edges it for me in terms of player of the match there. But yeah, overall, fantastic. I'll go again. I'll absolutely go again. If anyone, I don't know how he picked up on TV, but the post-match atmosphere was fantastic. It could be accused of over celebrating a WSL match, but there was they're playing Free from Desire, Sweet Caroline. They did a lap of honour, but you know what? It was fantastic, and I'd recommend anyone who hasn't been to a WSL match to if you can. I know there's a few playing at the Emirates. I think they're playing the Manchester United and the Chelsea match both at the Emirates. If you can get to it, absolutely. And I'm already being pressured to go to Meadow Park for some of the home games now because I think my daughter's fed up of seeing the men now. She wants to go and watch the women, which is great. And and that's the sign of the times. And she's really been inspired by Lionesses. And I think this is just the upshot of it. And I think it's fantastic. But yeah, and what can we say? 48,000 people attended, 53,000 tickets sold. But yeah, we made history that day. And yeah, I don't know what it felt like from watching it on the box. But yeah, it's good to be there and good to be part of it. I feel very privileged to be there.
Could I just make a comment on that? It was a great day for the Arsenal, and I'll tell you why. We were pioneers of the women's game. So we were pioneers of floodlights, numbers on backs way back in the Herbert Chapman era, the 4-2-4 formation, the WM formation, pioneers of all that. we were also pioneers of the women's game. When Vic Akers, who was the the kit man, took on the role, and we were really ahead of the curve. Us as a club, for any of our women listeners, us as a club did more than any other club to promote the game, and to see us arrive at a place where you get 48,000 people into your own our own stadium for a game. I just thought it was a great day for the club.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And we had the same pre-match buzz, around the ground. Oh, look, I know I've shouted out to my little girl Georgina. She'll love me for saying her name on this, and I'll have to show her. But her itinerary for the day was brilliant because it was a train, McDonald's, and then she had pub for dad. Pub for dad. She did put that in there, so she obviously knows what I get up to. I thought I hit it pretty well. But so she put pub for dad, football match, then pub for dad, then train home. Brilliant. She was fantastic. So I've trained her well. So the little legend at Georgina is. Thank you for that.
Hats off.
Yeah, she made my day. She made my day. It was a proper good day for us. Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, it's great to see the women's game, especially being the weekend break. The coverage it got on all day on Sky and BBC, and I think BT as well. Like it's really grown into its own, really, and it's great to see those channels given the coverage that it deserves. I think Emma Bourne was doing the co-commentary on the Chelsea game on Sunday, and she was an Arsenal legend herself in goal for the women's international team and the Arsenal women's team as well. I think she even might have played in goal when they were short in the men's team. I think is once played. She used to play in the friendlies, believe it or not. She was that good, yeah. Originally from Leixlip here as well. Craig, have you anything to say on the result there at the weekend, the women's team?
Yeah, I didn't. I seen the highlights of the game. I didn't really see the game. I was in Scotland, the Ireland Scotland game, so I must have been very drunk when the match was going on. No, I seen the highlights. Looked like Arsenal played very well. Now, to be honest with you, I'll keep an eye on the women's results. A good bit, obviously in live scoring that. A fun fact is I just heard earlier on. I listened to Arseblog, and Tim Stillman said that the centre half Raphael, I think she's 29, 30 years of age, which is meant to be very, very good. She's Brazilian, but she never actually moved to Europe because she was playing in China. And because she was playing in China, she was getting so much money that she just wanted to give the money back to her family.
Nice.
So it was only this year, I think it was last year, she moved to Arsenal because she didn't want to turn the opportunity down. But I think she could have been playing in Europe or in the women's Super League a lot sooner than she is now at the moment. But yeah, I seen the goals. It looked like Miedema had a great game. I think she's probably rated as one of the top 3, top 5 women's players in the world at the moment. I know Barcelona were in for in the summer, and they're looking to pay a world record fee of 500,000, which in the women's kind of in terms of transfers for our women's, it's very, very high. I don't know what the record is now, but she decided to stay. So yeah, they look like they have a good side this year. I say they'll go close this year to winning the league, with Chelsea probably being their main rivals there. I think Chelsea had a good manager in Emma Hayes, and I think she's been tipped for a few men's team jobs actually. So it'd be interesting to see if she gets a different job down the line, because I think she's very highly rated.
Yeah. John, have you anything to say on the result there on the women's team?
The result was, well, it's like the Craig was saying, I only saw the highlights, but the women's game, this is a huge opportunity for the women's game. As Eamonn said, I remember when Vic Akers was manager of Arsenal, 9 league titles or something like that in a row.
Yeah.
The only team to win, be champions of Europe. I remember that era without actually watching the games. So I dipped my toe in the last World Cup, the Women's World Cup in France, and was really impressed with the standard of the football. So I've been watching it a little bit more. This new TV deal they have with Sky and Sky and BBC, sorry. So there's more games being shown live, so there's more possibilities to see the game. So I've been watching more games. And again, the quality is there. It's improving all the time. But as Eamonn said, with the big clubs, we've been there the longest. United only dipped the toe in the water a few years back. Same with Chelsea when Abramovich came in. They decided to join in. City, since the money came in. We've been there since the beginning. And it's really great now to see these big clubs investing in the women's game. And with England winning the European Championships last year and all the publicity you got and the size of the crowds they got, it's a huge opportunity to promote the women's game. And Arsenal have shown what can be done with proper planning, proper promotion. 47,000 for the women's game is absolutely huge. So hats off to everyone involved in that. And the fact that they're able to put on performances like that, and you are seeing players of the quality of Williamson and McCabe and Medina and Mead, and they're actually household names now in England.
Yeah, from the success.
It's an incredible opportunity for the women's game to grow. And when you see the European Cup now, the big clubs, Barcelona, best team in Europe, PSG are throwing money at it. Bayern Munich are slow to the game coming to it. In Germany, Wolfsburg are the big dogs over there. But with Bayern Munich coming into it, that's going to change. The Italian clubs are starting to get into it. Back when Arsenal won the European Cup, the big dogs were in Sweden and Norway. Now it's changing. So it's great to see. It's absolutely incredible to see. And hats off to everybody involved. Long may it continue, because it does, as Ozzy said, it brings something else to the game. The family feel to it. You could see it. You could see it in the highlights. The chanting was all around the ground, and there was just a different vibe to it. And I look forward to watching more games. And that's basically what this is all about: attracting more people to the games, and that will bring more money to it, which will improve the quality. So good luck to them, and I look forward to watching more matches.
Yeah, I think it's great as well, lads, the way Arsenal let them use the Emirates, to gain that exposure, and to get nearly a full house. And the price, as Ozzy said last week, the price of the ticket is great value as well. Even if you're not, even as a neutral, even, just even go and watch it, because they were at the Emirates Cup, I think, in 2019, instead of doing a 2-day men.
Yeah.
So, they give the men the Saturday, or is it the first game's the women's, and then the men's is the second game. But it definitely mixes it up, and you can see it brings the whole family out as well, and gets it.
Well, this goes to proper promotion, Johnny. I mean, there's no point in charging 50, 60, 70 pounds a ticket for these games. You want to attract people to it, so keep the prices reasonable.
Yeah.
You're going to fill a house. An Arsenal sports game will fill any stadium, regardless of what the price of the tickets are. Yeah, but in the women's game, you want to promote it. So there's no point in charging 50, 60 pounds a ticket. So they're absolutely right to do what they did. They sold 53,000 tickets. That's phenomenal. And the attraction they got, not just from the TV, but from the media itself, the reports, it's just going to make it better. I mean, Meadow Park holds, 3,000 or 4,000 people. It's going to be full next time Arsenal play. It's going to be full every time Arsenal play there. And it's going to make people want to come, as he said, to the Man United games at home and the Chelsea games at home. And that will only encourage Arsenal to make the Emirates available to them even more often. So it's about proper promotion and doing the right thing. And like I said, this is the only way to promote the game. The more people you get involved, and with
it's a mirror image of what happened in ladies Gaelic football over here. That they play in small grounds and they've got a good following, but then when there's an occasion to be had, they don't charge an arm and a leg. It's a huge family occasion. And I'll just to say to Ozzy, there was a time when a ladies Gaelic football final would have got 10,000 people in Croke Park. Now it's getting 55,000 people in Croke Park.
Wow.
It's the same. It's a mirror image.
Yeah.
So you've got to say they're not starting from the same base as the men's game. So you've got to build, and making it accessible to as many people as possible is the key. And I think Arsenal have done a first-class job there.
Yeah. As I said, they've got a huge opportunity here, and they've shown what can be done if you do it right.
And that's what I try to get across with the Man United and Chelsea game. For me, I went down there and I don't know what I was expecting. I was looking forward to it, but the vibe around the stadium, the pubs were full, the match day vibe that you get. And you know what? And that's what for me. But it's the whole day, isn't it? It's the whole day out. Sometimes the football in the pubs, beforehand, and the atmosphere building before the game was no different to a normal match day for me. The same people were drinking in the pubs. It was great. And what that's going to have on the effect on the local community as well to get behind the team,
Yeah.
because that'd be normally a quiet Saturday in
Dead
Holloway Road. You know what I mean? And it's brought the place buzzing again, and everyone was buzzing to go to it. And that's for me. Like I say, as soon as that first whistle went, we had the North London Derby, and regardless of who, whether it's the men's team, the women's team, we had a North London Derby on the pitch, and it just got the atmosphere, just got the same excitement going. So yeah, no.
Here's a real copyright opportunity now, right? For whoever invented Subutio. Change the name of the players.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
I think
as I was saying there,
FIFA already got to that. Yeah, the women's game is actually in FIFA 23, isn't it? This coming week, it's out. So there's exposure in itself.
23 there. I'm still on Subutio.
You quit flicking them players around.
I want to pick the ball there.
So
frustrating. Get up there with that.
Well,
Johnny, just as Ozzy was saying there.
Yeah, sorry, Craig.
Just as Ozzy was saying there, I just think it's about breaking the stigma down. I just think a few years ago, 10, 15 years ago, there's kind of stigma about women's football. It's not as good as men's and etc. But I think with the Euros, especially this year, and England winning it, I just think, like, I watched a good few of the games and the quality was very good. Like, some of the goals are really good. Maybe it won't get to the heights of men's football ever, but it's grown and it's grown and it's grown. And like you see from the Euros, the attendances in the Euros are brilliant for in England. So I think it's just going to go from strength to strength, especially here with the Irish women's team. So I think it's only 7-8 years ago that they had to go on strike because they were staying in 2-3 star hotels. Yeah. They were getting one kit for matches and that, and they had like 4 or 5 balls to go and train with, when they went abroad to play matches and that. But that's improving. And like, as Katie McCabe in Arsenal, like, she was one of the, I think she was the captain at the time. She was the one that kind of, made that happen. I think Emma Bourne might have left then, or she could have just handed the captaincy over to Katie McCabe then. But what they did for the Irish women's football was brilliant. Like, even here in Ireland, like the Shelbourne, they're in the Champions League, I think, in the Women's Champions League, and I think they've always done well. I know Peamount United always did as well. So I just think, especially as John was saying earlier, Arsenal have kind of been the best women's team there ever kind of has been, and it's these clubs that are following probably from Arsenal's success. But I just think this time next year we could be even talking about this, and it's going to just keep growing and growing and growing. Which is great.
Spot on, mate. Spot on.
Yeah, we, in fairness, over the last year or so, since the beginning of this podcast, it's been predominantly the male senior team, and we're going to give this season definitely more exposure. If the men aren't playing and the women get a chance again, they'd be top of the show again. They deserve as much exposure as the men do, definitely, and they're pros in their own right as well. That victory over Spurs, as I said, leaves them top of the pile like the men. 2 games played and 6 points. Behind them are United and Villa on 6 points each. And I think their next fixture then is on the 16th of October. So a bit of a wait there, but we'll be mentioning them and the next one. Going to go to, I know last week when we were during the show, they were playing in the first leg of the UEFA Women's Champions League against the Ajax women. Goals by Stina Blackensteinhuis and Kim Little for ourselves. And Romy Luchter is her name of Ajax. I hope I got it right there. She scored twice. Their second leg is tomorrow night at 6. Is that on Arsenal.com as well? Yeah.
I believe so. I think it is, yeah.
I didn't see any of those. Did anyone see any of the goals of that first leg last week? No.
I was watching it while we were doing the podcast, so I did catch them. But yeah, it was I think it's a really scrappy equaliser.
It's 2-2, did it?
Yeah, finished 2-2. We got a live update on the pod, didn't we? But
yeah.
At the time we was recording, but yeah, it was a really scrappy second goal. for Ajax. But yeah, but from what I could see, what I was watching while we was doing that, we seemed to be again on top. But
Yeah.
a really scrappy second goal we conceded. But you know.
Yeah, the second goal was so frustrating.
I've teed you up, Eamonn.
So frustrating.
But we'd really like, as Craig said last week, it'd be great to get Katie McCabe on it or Emma Bourne. That would be the aim to get on the show, you know.
Get on to Emma Bourne, Johnny, no?
We'll have to get onto her. Martin's only get onto what he was saying. He seems to know everyone in the know. Unfortunately, Craig's just only mentioned briefly. Lee Judges, Craig, unfortunately couldn't make it this week, but hopefully he has his own shows. Everyone knows, yeah.
Drop your message there on Sunday, just saying that he had to go into the studio tonight. His own channel now that he runs, so I think it's something to do. He had other commitments, so he said in the next week or two we'll hopefully get on with us, and he's looking forward to it. So,
well, John can join me in this chorus. Sacked in the morning.
Long overdue, I hear. Lee Judges, are you listening? This is what you have to live up to on this show. I think actually,
find out where he lives, Jonathan. I don't hold a grudge.
Ozzy might know.
Where he lives.
I think Lee Judges is bald as well, so I don't know if there's room for a third one.
Shaven, my friend. Shaven.
Shaven.
If Antonio Conte had any decency at all, he wouldn't have that willowy syrup of figs that goes up and down. You know, he'd be like,
dishonest.
Do the decent thing. Take an L. Wilkinson sword to it, you know. Yeah.
I'd like to mention before we move on to our own preview of the big North London Derby, the women's football show is on BBC One on a Sunday when the Women's League is on. I think it's 11:30 here, but it's a really good show over half an hour or to an hour, and it covers all, you know, highlights of the whole weekend's fixtures. So just to give that a bit of exposure as well. I know Sky and BT do their own thing as well. So they've got all the major TV sports coverage there. So best of luck to them, and we'll be mentioning them over this league campaign. So on to the men's one, and it's the big one. I know a few of the lads from the supporters club are going. Ozzy and Eamonn, I know in particular. Are you, John or Craig, going to this one on Saturday?
So I'll have to find a pub somewhere in Lanzarote and give the TV dogs abuse. So I will do that. I'll be right away my clothes somewhere in the pub. So don't you worry. I'm not missing that.
No, I'm not going, Johnny. I'm going to Liverpool game the week after. Unfortunately, didn't get a ticket for this game, so the week after.
This game is at the Emirates, of course, 12:30 on BT Sport. Another early kickoff, but I wouldn't worry too much about that. The lads are always up for a tasty derby. Currently, we're top, as everyone knows, all Arsenal fans, with 18 points, and Spurs are joined second with 17. They're having a decent season themselves, particularly over the last few weeks as well. Our last meeting was in May, of course, the away game, which cost us qualifying for the Champions League, 3-0 away defeat. But it was around this time last year, actually, we won 3-1 at home. Aubameyang, Smith Rowe and Saka destroyed them in the first half, and the game was all but over. It was great. That was a great game. I'll go to Eamonn. It's only be a tough fixture, this one, because Spurs are coming into their own as well, and Conte has them playing fairly decent. But I can only see a narrow victory for ourselves. It's hard to predict, as you said, a result, but I can only see Arsenal beating Spurs on Saturday. How do you see the game going?
Okay. Well, first of all, games after international breaks, a lot depends on the fuel tank in players. And I was watching. Thankfully, he didn't play Saka last night until the last 20 minutes, so that was a positive, right? But look, I don't like saying this, but Spurs are a serious team this year. In fact, I hate saying it, right? In fact, I'm going to have to go to confession. except for I'm not a practicing Roman Catholic. So what do I do? That's a dilemma I have in my life, right? I don't like saying this. I actually think Spurs are quite a turgid old team. They're not good to watch. They're not a good watch, you know? And I don't like that manager. I didn't like him as a player, and I don't like him as a manager, and him and his wig, right? I don't like him, right? I think he's it's all about him. He's another Mourinho in the making, and all this shouting and roaring and I don't like guys like that, right? So when I look at this fixture, there's a couple of things I say, right? They have two players that consistently do damage to us, right? We know who they are. Sung Young Ming or Egg Foo Young or King Do Prawn or whatever his name is, right, does damage to us. And we need to keep the head in this game. Arteta needs to keep the head. The team needs to keep the head. We concede too many penalties against them. If you look back, the amount of penalties. How many times can you look back and see Harry Kane putting in a penalty against us, right? Your man, Sung, whatever his name is, Young Ming Sung, whatever the hell his name is, diving around like Greg Louganis for anybody who remembers the 1990s. You know? Harry Modo does a lot of damage to us. So with that in mind, I think the game is going to be won or lost in midfield. Because I think the way Spurs play, you've got to stop the supply to them too. Right? And I wouldn't say confident, I wouldn't share your confidence, Jonathan, but I'm optimistic that the range of ability that we have across the midfield can stop them from supplying the two guys who've hurt us most. I think Eric Dyer is in the form of his life as a centre half. You could see last night, if anybody watched the England-Germany game, he was carrying Harry Maguire for sure. But I think Gabriel Jesus is the type of guy that would worry Eric Dyer, because we're not going to sling in balls that are meat and drink to Dyer, who's, you know, he's a bit of a cannibal, really. You know, I think we can move him around a bit and create trouble. But I think this is a real test. The Manchester United game was a real test, which I believe that we didn't fail. I think under other circumstances, in many ways, we passed that test. It didn't go for us on the day. This is a real test. I think if we can get on top in midfield and dominate the ball, right, and not get caught high up the pitch, because if you get caught high up the pitch against Song, you're in trouble. Not so much Kane. If you get caught getting too close to Kane and leave gaps behind you and Song's on the break, Kane is very good at swiveling and moving the ball on, right? But I think if we dominate the ball in proper areas of the pitch, and I know Arteta is very particular about this, right? If we dominate the ball in proper areas of the pitch, I think we can do enough to win the game, right? But it's got to go right. And again, I'd appeal to people: if we win the game, go out and enjoy yourself, but don't proclaim us as world champions, you know. And if we lose the game, you know, don't ring the Samaritans or don't go into meltdown. You know, it's another game. It's another 3 points. What we've got to do this season is beat all of the teams we think we're better than. And so far we've done that, right? Okay. So hopefully we can dominate the ball. And if we do that, if we dominate the ball, I think we can win the game.
Yeah, it's all about, I don't know even if it's about who scores first, because I think it could be, you know, an open enough game to the way both teams play, you know, so there'll be a few goals in it anyway, I'm sure. And October's a big test for us with Liverpool and Leeds to follow, and thankfully that City game is being pushed back, because that would have been a horror first 4 games of October. Ozzy, you're going to it as well. This is a second big test, really, of the first 8 games of the season. How do you see the game going on Saturday?
Yeah, Eamonn summed up. It's going to be really tight, isn't it? It's Conte, the way he sets Spurs out. It's either going to be one of these games where they're just going to park 10 men behind the ball and try and catch us on the counter, and it's how we react to that. I'm also optimistic that we've learned from what happened at the away game last season, where we lost our heads, and I think we showed a little bit of naivety on and off the ball in that game. I hope Mikel Arteta's got his famous clipboard out and we're doing another masterpiece to wind him up for this game or show him a few tweets. Because but we just want us to be, controlled and in this game. We've got to be controlled because that's where we lost it at their place. That's why we lost to Newcastle. And it's these games that we're going to see the progress, I think. We've seen the progress we're beating the teams that we should beat now, which is some progress. But certainly with these big games, and I thought we stood the test at United. Things went against us. I don't know if you saw who was refereeing the game. It's Anthony Taylor, I think, isn't it, on Saturday? I think what I saw somewhere. That says a lot. But we can only control what we control, and we don't need to worry about the referee. Long as we turn up, we put a shift in, which I know they're going to do. I'm optimistic, but it's going to be tight. It's going to be tight. But these are the games we need to win if we're going to be serious. And I just hope the lads can do it. But regardless of what time the kickoff is, I think Saturday's going to be rocking. And I just hope we can get 3 points. I really do.
Yeah. I think we're a different animal to the game in May as well. What Son done to Holding, I don't think that will happen to Saliba or Gabriel. And with Jesus, he'll run Dyer ragged at the back as well. We're 10 times better than that game in May, with the 11 going into it, definitely. John, another big North London Derby coming up. How do you see it going on Saturday, and an early kickoff as well?
Yeah, it's a massive game with both sides being at the top end of the table. It's a real contrast of styles, really. We're a team who wants possession, wants to play the game in the opposition's half. And I think Spurs are the kind of side who would be happy to sit back and try and catch us on the break, as Eamonn said. Son, Kane, and I have to be honest, I think Kulusevski has been a great sign for us, and they're going to cause us problems. We are a different animal. We won't have Cedric at right back. We won't have Lingard centre half. We won't have, Gabriel trying to cover Tavares over on the left hand side. The big positive for me is how ruthless and how efficient and how disciplined we were against Brentford. Completely different to where we were against United. We lost the head against United. We went for the throats. Instead of Eamonn said it at 1-0, calm down, take the draw, walk away. We didn't. Against Brentford, from the very first minute, we were on them and we kept our foot on them and we just took our time and we pulled them apart. That was very impressive. That was a very disciplined performance. This is going to be, as Eamonn said, midfield due. Parties that have been brought back from international duty early. Yes. Hopefully he'll start. Because he gives us something different to Saliba. I love Saliba on the ball. Love him on the ball, but he hasn't got the defensive awareness that Parky has. So he's going to be huge. I would like to see Tierney stay in the team ahead of Zinchenko, purely because of the defensive side of it. I think he's a much better defender than Zinchenko. And I think he deals with Kulusevski all day long. I think White or Tommy right back, much different proposition to Son. How are they going to deal with? How Son's going to deal with Saliba and with them? It's a different proposition. They're going to be dangerous on the break. Let's be brutally honest. So we want a fully functioning, fully aware, fully alert, fully prepared back four. I think we have the tools to beat them. I think Jesus, as Eamonn said, he's tormented every defence he's played against this season. I can't explain how impressive he's been. He's been absolutely relentless. He gives them no time whatsoever. So it's setting itself up for a really, really good game of football. It really is. I think the neutrals are going to really enjoy this game. I'm not a neutral. I'm going to hate every minute of it. I'm going to be biting my nails, punching people in the arm. Give me a big wide circle, because this is the kind of game I'm going to hate until the final whistle and the game goes, and then I'll relax and say, thank God that's over, or fuck this shit. But one way or the other, it's a big game, and it's why we watch football. This is one of the big games. It's the local derby, and it's I think it's going to be won and lost, as Eamonn said. I do agree. Midfield. I think we have a better midfield than them, but they're going to be dangerous on the break. It's a big test for Saliba. He's a young player. He's come in and really impressed everybody since he's come in. It's a big test for him. But like I said, the Brentford game really showed me another side, not just to the team, but the coach as well. And so the coach learned from the United game. Disciplines. Let's play your game, and we'll take care of the business. Let's see how it goes.
Yeah,
I'm afraid to get cocky. I really am afraid to get too cocky on this one.
yeah. No, I can see he's winning. I do. I can see he's winning on Saturday at 2-1. It's only be a tight game, but I think we've enough. I think we're better than Spurs. You know, not just saying that as an Arsenal fan, but this 11 that we have this season and what we've got to draw from the bench as well is 10 times better of what we were looking at last May. That Thursday night in May. I didn't hand on heart. I didn't think we were going to get anything against Spurs that night. You know, and we got nothing that night when we saw the 11 that entered the pitch. But we actually have in Jesus, we actually have a player that we can aim for now up front that can score goals and can do damage to defenders. We haven't had that since really Henry, you know, or Van Persie, really. You know, that he's a different type of player. I know Jesus, but you know, it's that type of caliber of a player that puts fear in defenders. We haven't had in such a long time. Craig, big game, a big derby, and it'd be nice to get 3 points to stay in front, wouldn't it, in the league?
Yeah, look, I'm quietly confident as much of what the lads said. You know, I agree with them all. It's going to be a hard game. You know, we've watched Spurs this year a few times, and you know they're not up to much. They're not great at all. They're just solid. You know, they just have play five. They play. I think they play 5-3 at the back, 2 wing backs, 2 sitting in midfield, and the 3 up front. And Kudus actually basically plays midfield because just Son and Kane stay up there. You know, they're a dogged team. They kind of just grind results out. A bit like Chelsea from Mourinho, 2004, 2005. Not great to watch, but just, you know, win games 1-0. Like, you know, they're absolutely terrible to watch. We're a much better team than them. And, you know, look, if they lost 3 or 4 in a row, the wheels might fall off Tottenham because I don't think Conte is one to have patience. I'm actually surprised to say it there during the summer because I thought he might go because they wouldn't back him, but they bought a few signings for him in fairness, Spurs. But I think we're a much better footballing side. But in terms of organisation and all, look, they are very organised. You know, like I said, that they grind results out. And on Saturday, you know, we're expected to win. We're at home. We should be winning. We should be beating them at home. You know, we kind of owed them one last year after they beat us there in April in Troy Hart Lane. You know, like the only thing with this game is I'm just wondering, you know, can we keep our heads?
Yeah.
You know, I don't want us to go down, you know, to 10 men, first 20 minutes, first half, because with our team, it's a very young team. They're very emotional. The crowd's going to have them right up for it. You know, I don't want someone to make a stupid challenge or for Son or Kane to go in last man and then Saliba or Gabriel takes them down, you know, and then we're down to 10 men and then, you know, our backs are against the wall then. I think there's a few kind of injury doubts. I think Tierney's he had concussion there the weekend, so I'm sure he should be available. Zinchenko has a calf injury. You know, Odegaard's ankle, Partey with his knee injury. So, you know, there's a few doubts there. The only good thing is that kind of the 3 Gabriels from Brazil, they say it's at home and they should be raring to go. I just the one player that I hope is fit for Arsenal is Partey, because he just transforms the way we play. You know, we just everything in midfield goes through him, and the likes of Hodgberg and Bentancur, you know, they're no match for Partey. So if we're missing Partey, you know, it'd be a huge miss. You know, you'll probably have Xhaka, and I'd probably presume, I don't know, Lokonga maybe could start. But even, you know,
I don't know about the Congolese. I think that type of game he could be cut out in.
Yeah,
you know?
no, I agree. Like, you know,
The
can make an
atmosphere.
argument for Zinchenko there.
Yeah.
You know, but again, Zinchenko hasn't played centre mid for us yet, so it's another big risk. So I'm hoping Partey is fit because we'll need him. in terms of the game, look, they're just going to sit back for the whole game. You know, they'll sit back, they'll counter, they'll try to nick a goal, or they'll try to get a few frees, you know, up towards their box, you know, they'll try to get a penalty or stick a header on it. I think the first goal in the game is going to be really important because I think all the games this year, especially in the Premier League, we've started, you know, very well. The first 15, 20 minutes, we're dominating teams.
Yeah.
I think, you know, we could probably haven't been as clinical as we should be. I think we could have, you know, killed games off 2 or 3-0 in the first half an hour, but it hasn't kind of happened yet. So maybe it'll happen this game. But I do think the first goal is really important. You know, if Arsenal get it, I think we'll get one. We could win 2 or 3-0. But if they get it, you know, it'll be tough. They'll sit back. And that just suits a, you know, a Conte team. In terms of match winners, yeah, we have Jesus there, and in fairness, Saka. I think Eamonn said he only came on for the last 20 minutes against England the other day, and he was man of the match last night. You know, he was in the last half an hour, and he just changed the game totally. So if you have Saka and Jesus firing, you know, I'd be confident that hopefully we have Smith Rowe back from injury as well, who can come off the bench, because, you know, we've missed him. You know, people have forgotten about him. You know, he was a great player last year,
big time.
You know, how many times did he come off the bench, Eamonn, last year? You know, and scored the winner.
But he's also he has a habit of hurting them. He's one of our players that hurts them on a regular basis. You know.
So it'd be interesting to see if he's back. Might come off the bench, and, you know, does Fabio Vieira say keep his place if Odegaard's not fit, or does Odegaard come back in? Because look, we've options now. This is the good thing, but just of all the players that could be missing, I just really hope Partey is fit, and I think that if Partey plays, I think we win. If Partey doesn't play, I'd have a bit of doubt, you know, but hopefully we can get 3 points.
How bad is that knee injury? Do we know?
I don't know.
Precautionary, wasn't it? They said precautionary, but who knows?
But there's a few players that have come back from international duty early. Tierney, Tomiyasu, and Partey. So I don't know if Arteta's doing a bit of the dark art.
Tierney got a clatter in the head, like, you know, that it was no more than that, you know.
Yeah. Well, even Tomiyasu and Partey, you know, both of them come back early. So maybe Mikel Arteta is doing a bit what Fergie used to do.
I think Arseblog seemed to suggest that the Tomiyasu thing was prearranged, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
We also have a good relationship with the national team, so that's what work in our favour. You know, the next month, lad, is going to kind of determine where the league's going to go first, because I think there's 9 games now, you know, till November, to the World Cup, and there's going to be if we can keep the squad fit, you know, that's going to be, you know, a big concern about who's fit. He was going to have a few knocks, but
absolutely
looking forward to coming back anyways.
Yeah, it's a big 3 games, isn't it? But there's Leeds away after the Liverpool game as well, and then you've got Bodo Glimt home and away as well. And like these are the games when you're playing well and you're flying at the top, that you want the games to keep coming, you know, ticking fast, and like that's what wins you cups and titles, you know. I think we said last week and the week before, I can't see us winning the league really for another year or two, but look, this is great experience for such a young bunch as well, isn't it? Like, it's a real family atmosphere again at the club. Arteta has them grounded as well, you know, and he doesn't get too far ahead of himself neither. They have a good transfer policy under Edu as well. So come Christmas Eve, we'll be saying Arteta out probably after a horrendous October, November, December. We usually have a bad October, November, don't we? So fingers crossed that doesn't happen this year. So we're all going for a home win, lads, are we?
Yeah.
Skepticism there, lads.
Every time I decide to go to Arsenal Tottenham, I'm delighted when I get my ticket, and then as the game approaches, I say, "Why do I do that to myself?" You know. But I think I should watch a BBC Two documentary on the evolution of whelks in the forest or something. I'd be better off doing that, you know.
Spurs haven't won it yet. They've only won once in the 16 years, the Emirates. So Like that's but Kane, I think
They haven't been
he scored most goals again.
Shouldn't have
So
said that, Johnny.
no, I can see sports.
Behave.
I want Arteta out if we get fucking destroyed on Saturday.
John Melia, just you'll notice there's no response from me on this subject.
Eamon wanted Arteta out, folks. If you didn't listen to that,
Eamon is Arteta's biggest fan. I loved him as a player with Everton. I loved him as a player.
I don't want to hear. He's a manager now. That was on in the past.
I love his attitude. I love his attitude.
Look, he's got us on to better things, you know, and long may continue.
You can be sure on Saturday he'll be prepared for this, and any other manager we've had in the last, 10.
I think he'll have shown them the game in May what happened to us. You know, I'm sure he'll show them a video and drill that into them. That this is payback for that. You know, go out there and show Spurs what you're made of. Look, I was just saying that it's a completely different 11 from that night as well. But in terms of motivation, there's nothing better, I don't think. But if you're not up for a North London Derby, you shouldn't be wearing the jersey. So this is the one game every season that you should be up for.
Yeah, and maybe he'll get the cameraman to do the inspirational talk before, because that's what he did last time, didn't he? He got Stuart, the cameraman, to do the team talk before this game.
That's right. Yes,
so maybe he'll go with that tradition, and that'll be a forever thing now. Maybe.
Well, I think Aubameyang gave him his jersey then, didn't he, at the end of the match as well? Yeah.
He's sold out on eBay now.
Certainly using that as ours paper now. In terms of, before we move on as well, there's a train strike you were saying, Ozzy. I hope that doesn't affect the attendance, will it? Do you think, or it should be should be okay?
I don't think it will affect the attendance. I think it will stop people going for that 10 o'clock beer beforehand. So it will affect well, I'm going with a mate of mine, so we're having a fight who's driving. But yeah, it's train strike was confirmed. They confirmed the timetable tomorrow. Some places limited service, but most of the main lines going into London, certainly from where I'm coming from, are all down for the day. So there's going to be lots of people driving or going the night before. But the problem is that the price of some hotels and that in the area is extortionate.
Is there no coaches that you could take?
There is, but it's about 5 hours. I think it works out.
Jesus,
it's not good. I did look at the national.
There's a lad I know in Northampton, a fella called Chris. You might know him. Yeah, he has a gun tattooed on his cheek. He looks to me like a fella who'd like to drive down if you want.
I'd love to see a documentary on how Chris gets to that game and gets back. It's almost like I could do a two-part Amazon documentary on. I'd love to know myself. If I see him, I'll ask. But I'll find out how he got there and back. So I reckon he's walking. I reckon he's probably already started walking there, Eamonn. To be honest, mate, with his six pack of Fosters, mate. He's probably
exactly.
He's probably just on the M1 now.
Like Robert De Niro going up the hill in the Mission. Yeah.
He would turn up on Saturday with a big beard.
While Ozzy is stressed and getting to the match, John B and his arse and speedos sucking a few Coronas down him on the beach. I'd like that brings me back to this week's quiz question. Name Arsenal's 2 goal scorers in the 2-2 draw in 2004 at White Hart Lane to seal the Premier League title. I think we all know who they are, so please leave them in the comment box. Is there anything else, lads, you'd like mentioned on the show this week in terms of tickets or anything? Or
no, I don't think. What I will say is the under 21s are playing Arsenal under 21s are playing Northampton, my hometown. 18th of October. It's on a Tuesday night, so I won't be able to make the pod on that one. But what I will try and do is get a little match. I've got tickets literally next to the Arsenal dugout.
Oh,
so I can try and speak to him. I think it's Jack Wilshere, isn't it? The boss. So I'll try and get a mention from him if I can, because I'm literally will be in arm's distance from him. So that's £5 a ticket in Northampton. Arsenal under 21s versus Northampton in the FA Trophy. At Northampton, so it's £5 a ticket. So yeah. So
speaking of under 21s, our Ireland under 21s are coming to the end of their game. Trying to qualify.
0-0, is it?
It's 0-0. But does anybody know? Do away goals count in that?
No.
Okay.
So it's the extra time penalties, I think, mistakes like that.
Gotta get extra time. Yeah.
And Ireland senior team are 1-0 up. Johnny Egan
Yeah.
just scored a header.
Too right. Kenny Ferrersa, lads, what do you think? You never know. You never know.
Don't let the standard slip so near the end, Jonathan. You know, if everybody listened to me, everything would be okay.
Never. I just want that fight head of hair he has. It's the fringe that does it for me. along with being the top manager.
As I say, at the end of the day, I had a great head of hair myself. It went a bit grey, but I'm okay with that. I'm pleased about it.
I think that brings an end to our show as always. Thank you, Eamonn. Catch our show on the Dublin Arsenal YouTube channel, and also catch all the posts on Instagram from Martin. I'd like to thank Carol, Craig, John, and Eamonn as always. Thanks for your input, and we catch you all again next Tuesday for the review of Spurs and the preview of Liverpool at home and Bodo Glimt at home. So cheers, lads, and have a good week.
Thanks, Johnny.
Come on, you
Come on,
gunner!
Joe.